Look, K-Mag, I'm sorry, mate, all right? I mean, the soft tyre thing, it was working so well. I just figured it would work every race, every time. What's that? Work out the tyre deltas to wear rates? Good one, mate. No one can work that out. Hi guys, I'm Aussie Villain and welcome back to Kicking Haas. Today we have the Austrian Grand Prix, and after a slightly disappointing race in Silverstone, I think it could have given us more. I've decided we need to shift our focus away from trying to beat Ferrari. I don't think that's going to happen, and I think our goal now is to try and beat Mercedes. I think we work our strategies around trying to stay ahead of the Mercedes and try and nail down third in the championship. If we happen to do better than that, brilliant, but I just think Ferrari's moving away from us. Mercedes, I think, does need to be our focus to try and get that top 3 finish and the prize money that comes with that. Now, before we go any further, I do need to say a very big thank you and welcome to another new channel member, Ken's Alone. Thank you so much, mate. Yeah, as I said many times on this channel before, both the members and now and before that, the Patreon as well. It is so greatly appreciated. There's a little join button. There's a link in the description to all my other social things, including Patreon. If you enjoy the content, you're able to, it's there. If not, as I say, it's not expected, and if you just watch the ads, that's brilliant. That's all I can ask, really. All right, now let's get things underway here. Now, we have only had a 4-day gap between the two races, so there's not too much to catch you up on, but we can see here Sargeant does have a development point. What are we doing here with him? Are we going cornering or control? Let's go. Well, we're going to try and keep them even, I think, won't we? So let's go with that. Now, there's nothing for K-Mag. Crawford, however, does have another development point, which we will stick into reactions. We'll try and get everything. We'll try and develop Crawford as evenly as we can, I think. Try and get as well-rounded of a driver as we can coming into. So I'm not so much worried about racecraft. I think if we can get him fast and consistent, and then we can worry about his racecraft a little bit more, I think that's certainly my plan. Now, as I say, only 4 days have passed, so not too much else has happened. The circuit here, we are expecting a wet Friday and Saturday, and then a dry Sunday. So there's a chance to try and get ourselves a little bit further up the grid, maybe with a wet qualifying. We can see here red sector 1 for qualifying, blue sector 2, and a yellow sector 3. It's an interesting track. It's short, it's fast, and there's a couple of important traction zones as well. So it's got a little bit of everything packed into a very sort of small area. We can see their top speed and high speed is the sort of the important things. Time considerations. It's a bit of a longer pit stop here, so we'll have to bear that in mind. Expected strategies is a 1-stop. Now, whether we go back and look at soft tyres at the end, I think what I was thinking about afterwards, and I kind of joked about it in the intro there, is it's gonna be down to this average lap performance and then tyre life, and so sort of and then you can see the time lost from degradation as well. So it looks as though here it's a small lap, a short lap, I should say. So it's about 0.7 of a second. Is the no 0.6 of a second, a little bit less maybe, is the delta. Now, what I didn't do is look on other tracks where it was working for us at the late stop for softs. I don't think I'm going to make it we're definitely doing softs now. I think I'm going to have to be a little bit more sensible about how we go about things. There's not too much of a delta in the lap time, but then it's only a short lap as well, so we'll just have to kind of see, I suppose. Previous race results last year, not great. Logan Sargeant, and we're both a lap down. Sargeant and Magnussen, 12th and 13th. So let's hope we can do a lot better than that this time around. Now let's go and have a look at our performance targets. Reach Q2. I always think we should be able to reach Q3, to be honest, especially with K-Mag. Finishing position. Do we go for fastest lap? We might as well, you know. We only don't get 50 grand if we don't get it, so it's probably worth the risk. I love the way you just talk about 50 grand. It's nothing. I mean, I would do unspeakable things for 50 grand, to be honest. All right, so finishing position, we need cars in the top 14, and qualifying 4 times in the top 14. I mean, again, we should be able, unless something goes horribly wrong with both cars in qualifying, that should be a relative slam dunk for us. All right, so that is all the performance things done. Let's head off to what is going to be a wet Austria when we get there. And there we go, confirmation, moderate rain Friday, Saturday, and then clearing up for Sunday. So I'm going to go do some free practice. Hopefully we'll be able to nail a setup in the wet. That, I mean, it seems to work. There's no sort of differentiation between, I think that's the word, isn't it, between dry and wet setup. So we'll see what we can do. We should have plenty of dry tyres for the race if this weather is to be believed as well. So, yeah, let's go. All right, we have done free practice, and let's have a look and see how it went. Now, the first thing you'll notice, penalties. Verstappen, Alonso, who's been very quick in free practice, and Leclerc as well. So, well, penalties are starting, aren't they? Now, the fact that it's Verstappen and Leclerc, they are the two sort of drivers that have been consistently ahead of us. That is a good chance maybe for some big points in this one. We see Sargeant here in 8th. Crawford did a good job in 12th. This was just a dry session. There was no rain, so that was good. Good, to be honest, to see Crawford up so high. FP2, again, we can see the penalties there. We had K-Mag in 8th, and then Sargeant down there in 14th. Now, this was interrupted by rain, so you can see we're on a medium tyre when we did our best laps. I wouldn't read too much necessarily into lap times on that one. And then another wet session, again, K-Mag up there in 4th. You can see Alonso he's been very quick so far. Sargeant in 8th, though, on a medium tyre, which is very, very promising indeed. I'm not sure what happened to Leclerc in this one, only on a hard tyre, though, but he was all the way down the bottom there. So, let's go and have a look here, see what we would need to do for qualifying. Now, with penalties, I did have a look here and see what we should do. I'm wondering if it might be a good one. I keep forgetting to take engines out for free practice and whatnot. I'm wondering if it might be a good race. We're not going to take a penalty for a third engine, given that it is a speed determined track. So I think we might do that on Sargeant's car, and then K-Mag's car needed a new gearbox. So it makes sense to go and stick that in for qualifying. Do we go and give K-Mag a new engine as well? It might be a good opportunity for us this race, mightn't it, with so many penalties elsewhere, to go and stick a new engine in his car as well. So we'll see how we go there. You can see K-Mag setup absolutely nailed. Not quite so for Sargeant, but let's see how we go here. I don't know if it's going to rain or not, but Q1 either way should be okay. So, we did both get through. Sargeant, he had a spin on his first lap. We just sent him out on the same set of tyres, absolutely fine. He's in 6th. K-Mag, on the other hand, he did an okay lap first time around. We sent him back out for a safety lap, and he crashed on that lap. So, he has snuck through, but, I mean, it's one of these where he was likely to be safe, but still, that's a little bit too close for comfort, isn't it? Alright, so we are coming around to start our second run in Q2. Now, Magnussen is there in 4th. We've got Sargeant in 10th, so he's on the bubble. Magnussen is doing another run, but on an old set of tyres. You can see we're maybe a little close here, actually. They didn't quite space that out as I would have liked. But, well, let's have a look at sector times. Sargeant on a new set. Can he go faster? We've got Norris. He's got a purple first sector. Now, he's going to get, of course, a draft. I wonder, actually... Are we thinking K-Mag's safe? Don't fight, teammate. Let him pass down here, please, K-Mag. Let him past. Let him past. He's not going to let him past. So we'll hopefully K-Mag will just move out of the way. He's not going faster. Here we go, he is. So that's actually might work out for Sargeant's advantage. He's got a draft down the 2 long straights. And K-Mag should be safe anyway. A green second sector. He's still sitting there in 10th. Ricciardo hasn't beaten him. Norris has. So he needs to go faster. K-Mag is looking safe in 4th. He's not going anywhere. Can Logan Sargeant bump himself back into the top 10? He's done a purple sector, a green sector, and he goes 4th. So very, very nicely done by the 2 Haas boys there. And of course, with penalties to come to Leclerc and Verstappen, that is potentially 2nd and 3rd on the grid right now. Alonso got eliminated, which is massively surprising, I've got to say. Did not see that coming. Alright, so we are coming around for our second run in Q2. Now, you'll notice K-Mag in 10th. He locked up, or did he run wide? He might just run wide on his lap. Either way, ruined the lap. Luckily for him, it wasn't a new set of tyres. Both drivers are now on new sets, though Sargeant's first lap was also on a new set. Now, he's sitting there in 6th right now. Just a smidge so close to Gasly. If he could get in front of him, that would be brilliant. A reminder, Perez and Leclerc are going to drop down. So, the further up we can get, the closer we can get to. We don't know how many positions it's going to be just right now. But if we can take advantage of 5 places as a minimum, then that would be brilliant. Both drivers have done a green sector. Now, there are some cars behind us on track here as well. We didn't quite manage to get out at the back of the pack. What I was trying to do is get close enough to somebody to get a draft, because that obviously worked very nicely for Sargeant, but not quite able to manage it. And in the end, we've sort of not right at the back, so we don't necessarily have the best track conditions. And Sargeant has only done a yellow second sector. Magnussen has done a green second sector. So, well, let's see what we can do here. Sargeant coming around for the final turn. Can he move himself up from 6th ahead of Gasly? He doesn't need much of an improvement, and he has. Magnussen to cross the line. Magnussen goes 4th, so 4th and 6th, with a couple of cars still to cross the line. Is anybody going to go faster? It's looking like, oh, Gasly's got Sargeant back. Still, though, very, very promising. It will mean a front row start for Magnussen, and importantly, Sargeant is ahead of the Mercedes. So that's all we really want from him, for right now. But K-Mag could be right in this race, depending, of course, how far back Leclappen. All right, so strategy. Now, I'm going to confess at this point, I've already done this race, and it crashed when it was at the end of the race, and I lost it, basically. So we're going to start again. I won't tell you what happened because it was a really good race, to be honest. But we start 2nd and 5th. In terms of strategy now, I feel it's a little bit unfair because I basically know what strategy we can do. But this is what I did last time. I'm not gonna sort of try and cheat the system in that sense. I'll set that up the same way I set it up for the last one, and yeah, hopefully it still works out for us. And yeah, well, we'll just have to kind of wait and see, won't we? But it is 2nd and it is 5th on the grid. Let's see how we go. All right, welcome back. A case of deja vu for me. And here we go. K-Mag 2nd, Sargeant there in 5th. And let's go and jump on board and see what sort of a start we get. Now, what sort of tires is everybody else on here? Most cars, it looks like, are on the hard. And well, let's see what we can do. We are, of course, deploying early on to try and get as many positions as we can. Sargeant, oh, he's been sort of blocked in a little bit behind one Alfa Romeo, and Gasly's got back past in the other one on the medium tyre. We've got Magnussen up there in 2nd as well. And let's go to double speed and see what we can do. I'm not so much disappointed about the race result from, when I did it the first time, because it was okay. It was nothing special. But the race itself was absolutely insane. And, oh, Magnussen's run wide, has he? He has! That has let Perez run off into the distance. And thankfully, we haven't lost really any positions. But what we have done is just gifted Perez, almost, you'd say, a race win at this point. But yeah, well, we'll see how we go here. As Perez does the fastest lap of the race. We'll get ourselves into a DRS situation, and then we'll sort of let the race develop from there. But hopefully that is Magnussen's only mistake. We have seen from K-Mag before, though, if he makes a mistake in a race, it's the same with Sargeant, to be fair. It doesn't tend to be the only one, does it? Now, yeah, hopefully, like I say, hopefully that's it. And now I think about it out loud, of course, it does seem a little bit more like that's the car and the driver making multiple mistakes, doesn't it? So DRS is enabled. K-Mag has got himself a little bit of a gap, has he? We've got a yellow flag in Sector 3, but nothing to do with either of our guys. So K-Mag is out of DRS. Sargeant is in DRS to the Alfa Romeos in front. And, well, let's see how this race develops. We've got, if you're looking for Verstappen and Leclerc, 10th and 11th. Oh, we've got a safety car early in the race. Now, it's a little bit too early for it to do us any good, to be honest. I don't know what has happened just yet. We will not be stopping. It doesn't do us any good to stop. Have we seen what has happened yet? It's Albon crashing at turn 1. If he brings out the safety car, it must be a decent crash. Let's have a quick look at it here. And he's locked up into the wall, is it? Yes. Oh, someone did that in real life. Was it Bottas, I want to say, and a Mercedes did a very similar thing? Or am I thinking of Germany perhaps a couple of years ago? Anyway, safety car it is. Alright, so safety car is in. What this has done, of course, is let Magnussen off the hook for his little spin. It's got him right back up behind the back of Perez. And we go green again. We're not going to deploy this time. We'll try and save that for a little bit later on in the race. It looks as though it's going to be kind of as you were, as long as there's no mistakes, K-Mag. And, well, he's got Bottas up behind him. The Alfa Romeos look quite quick here, don't they? So that is perhaps a little spanner in the works, although they may take points off us. But if they're taking points off Mercedes as well, then I'd say that's just about acceptable. Hopefully they take more points off Mercedes than they take off us. Another multiple car accident, another safety car. And again, it's all too soon for us. We're on the hard tyre. Now, if you were on a medium, you might consider coming in. But this is turning into another crazy race. Doesn't look like I need to be disappointed at all. And who has crashed this time? Another multiple car accident. And it is involving, it's the back markers. It's the Williams and the Aston Martins. And really, that's just going to be removing... Oh, it's Williams on Williams. And that is huge. So, Schumacher into the back of Tsunoda, it looks like. But anyway, Sargeant's got the fastest lap. That won't last for the whole race, though. Alright, so here we go again. This time we've got K-Mag in third, Sargeant in fifth, as we go back to some green flag racing. 2 retirements, Verstappen 10th, Leclerc is up into 8th. So, Leclerc ahead of Verstappen is not ideal for us, really, because I think... we still have half a chance of being able to get the better of Ferrari over the season. I don't think we have that with Red Bull. As we see Magnussen back past Bottas. And, yeah, well, again, we're going to save the deploy as long as we can. And, yeah, well, I'll see you for the next safety car. So this race is developing into a bit of a DRS train. Leclerc and Verstappen are just off the back of it right now. Magnussen, Perez, Bottas are sort of going back and forth. And thankfully, Sargeant is going with them, and he's ahead of Gasly in fourth. He's actually in danger of dropping off his Gasly, but DRS will catch him back up there. But yeah, Verstappen and Leclerc are about to rejoin this battle. And... well, it's going to be a 9-way battle for the lead. What a race this would be to watch.
Good, lap time out good.
Alright, so we have got some pit stops for the guys that started on a medium. Sargeant has just set the fastest lap. We're going to start, it's almost go time now for us. We need to try and not get an undercut here. But you can see that that lead group has, what's happened there? Perez has suddenly dropped a long way back of Magnussen. And it was running wide. So unfortunately for us, he's run wide and blocked Sargeant from getting past. But it has given Magnussen a nice little lead in front there. So, well, now we've just got to go. We can use these tyres a little bit more, thanks to the safety car, and still be able to get the softs on. And, yeah, as I say, the risk here, of course, is the undercut on the medium-tired runners as Sargeant gets past Bottas up into third. And could he get Perez? He does, with first and second for Haas. May not stay like that way for long. But, of course, yeah, they're going to get an undercut. Oh, and Sargeant is locked up. Logan. When will we learn? He goes back to fourth. So it's not the end of the world. But... well, it's disappointing. We'll try and catch him back up to the back of Bottas. Oh, what's wild? K-Mag, what have you done?
Let's see what happened there. Now just focus on
unbelievable. But within a lap of each other, the race has just fallen in a heap. So Magnussen goes back behind Sargeant now. We're third and fourth. You might as well deploy and try and get yourself back up into this race. Unbelievable. So we have some pit stops now for the other hard runners. Sargeant is going back and forth with Perez, and they are coming in. Now we are going to pit this lap, optimum lap for Sargeant, bring him on, get a set of softs on. We're expecting to come out in 11th, which is maybe not ideal. But let's go a hard push, and K-Mag will be coming in next lap, so we'll get him on a hard push lap now as well. And we'll just balance out the fuel usage. And, yeah, I mean, it's a race of almost what could have been already. K-Mag, you expect more from him at this point, don't you, really? So, it's disappointing that he's gone and stuck it in the wall. Not in the wall, in the sand, I should say. But Sargeant is absolutely flying. He's got the fastest lap of the race. Now, Verstappen is going to be the thing, isn't he? He's going to go to the front. And we know that the Red Bulls are rapid anyway. So... it might come back to us. It should come back to us towards the end. Verstappen's on a hard tyre, which obviously we're going to have a tyre advantage going onto the softs.
Kevin, box.
So we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens. What sort of pit stop do we get out of Sargeant? It is not our best. And let's go see what... Now we're going to take him off of Super Push because... So he's come out actually in 7th. Which isn't too bad. He's come out behind Bottas on a medium. But that might work out for us. We've got Magnussen here about to come in now. Let's see what he can do. And can we get a similar... Can we get a little bit closer maybe to sub 3 seconds with him? Now Hamilton is... He has stopped as well. So Hamilton is a long way potentially in front of this race. It's a little bit slower for the K-Mag stop. Sargeant is in front of him, which suggests a big advantage on the tyres. So we'll let this play out for a little bit now and see where it takes us. But 6th for Sargeant, 9th for K-Mag, and we do have a tyre advantage. Alright, now we are on board with Sargeant, who is 6th. Now we've been charging up his battery behind this group, and there's some lap traffic, so we're going to try and use that and to a little bit of confusion perhaps to try and get a move done here. We've got Magnussen behind them in 7th, and of course he does have a little bit of floor damage, I think it was, from his little excursion off the track. But yeah, just have not been able to get free of this DRS train, unfortunately, for Sargeant. And despite having a tyre advantage, it's not really working out for him just now. Can we make it work here, I wonder? Down the outside. We've got Perez in the Red Bull in front of him, and looks like Hamilton and Verstappen as well. So we're with the leading group. It's going to be an exciting end to the race, and K-Mag should be able to catch up here as well. It's just not working, though. We can't get moves done. And that is obviously not helping the cause. Now, if we look at lap times, you can see Perez has nicked the fastest lap off us, but we are going faster than the cars in front. We just need to be able to, you know, get out of a DRS train to be able to show that, I think. But we'll save what we have to the end. You can see we're building up a little bit of petrol here as well, so we can sort of go full beans into corners a little bit more. And when the time comes, we will definitely be going all out to try and get ourselves on the podium at a minimum here, I would say. Oh, Sargeant, go on, Sargeant. We've gone for deploy. We've gone for deploy. The battery's empty at just the wrong time. Oh, that was the moment. Let's come on. Let's try and get this done. Let's try and get this done, Logan. Pin him to the apex. You should get him down the outside here, mate. Come on. Good exit on the soft tyres. We've got a little bit of an overlap. Not quite done, is it? Can we get him into turn 1, though? Or up into turn 3, perhaps? This is the closest that we've been. Deploy. I just want everything. I know I should use overtake. In my head, we get more power from deploy than we do from overtake. He looks to the inside. This could be the moment. This could be the moment. Scientist left the door open. We've got... Oh, the Bottas car maybe just put us off a little bit. Come on, Logan. Come on, Logan. Get this done. Get this done. This is it. This is it. This is you, mate. This is you. And finally, we have got past Leclerc. And we can eyes forward now on to Bottas. Oh, he's run wide again, K-Mag. What are we paying you for, Kevin? And he's back behind the Ferrari in 8th. It's not his day, is it? Front row start as well. Alright, well, I think what we'll do is we'll ride around with Sargeant. He's currently 5th. There's 10 laps to go. It's only a short lap. We'll put it on double speed, and yeah, we can sort of have a bit of a conversation as we go here. Now, the other race, I'll tell you now that this race is not as good as the other one was. We ended up coming 4th and 5th, which is of itself fine. But we were actually probably roughly where we are now, to be fair. And there was a massive crash at the front. It was Verstappen, Perez. I think both Ferraris were in there. And in the end, the race was won by Gasly. It was, I think, it was Ocon and Russell, I think, the rest of the podium. We were 4th and 5th. And the race ended under a red flag. Sargeant was 2nd, but just taken 2nd. But because it goes back to the last completed lap, he ended up 4th. It was just a crazy, crazy race, which unfortunately this one has not quite lived up to, unless all the front cars want to take themselves out again. But yeah, it's such a shame. Basically what happened is that the game just stopped responding. I think what happened was I clicked continue at the end of the race and then minimized it to stop the recording. and I must have done that at the exact wrong moment, and the game just couldn't handle it and just sort of stopped responding. So unfortunately, we probably just missed the autosave kicking in, although perhaps fortunately it didn't do it while the autosave was kicking in, or we may have just lost everything altogether, which would have been really, really disappointing, obviously. But yeah, that's how sort of take one of the race went. But yeah, and yeah, I mean, the thing with the last race too, it was one of those sort of everything went wrong for us as well. K-Mag and they were both spinning off everywhere. It was no different to this race, to be honest. But K-Mag was winning, and the safety car came out, but just as he was going past the pit lane, so we couldn't call him in, as we just missed that we got past Hamilton there. So that's P4 now, which is excellent for Sargeant. And so instead of getting a nice cheap pit stop under the safety car and coming back out in front, he ended up back in 11th, I think it was. So yeah, I mean, both cars came through the field a little bit better than they did here, actually, to be fair to them in the other race. But yeah, unfortunately, it'll never see the light of day because, well, I didn't have the, it would have been a race that didn't exist. I did toy with the idea of just showing it and then sort of explaining what happened afterwards, but I just decided we'd redo it instead. Oh, we've got a spin behind us. That is Hamilton, which has moved Magnussen up to 6th. And I mean, Magnussen's only 6 seconds off the lead of the race here, so he's not completely disgraced himself. And we do still have Leclerc behind Sargeant here. What we really need is for him to catch Bottas back up, but I think Bottas had a little bit of extra tyre life last time I checked. He's a second a lap faster that last race, so I think he might be starting to use up his tyres a little bit more. I wonder if we could push on K-Mag's tyres a little bit. We probably could. See if we can catch him up to Leclerc, which would be a nice thing for us. Up this way, please. But yeah, Leclerc's only half a second behind Sargeant right now, which isn't ideal. But yeah, we'll see how we go. 5 laps to go, it looks like. So in the end, as there goes Leclerc, can we get him back? We should have DRS down this straight as well, which will help. There it is. We need to catch back up to the back of Bottas here, though, unfortunately. And that's looking a little bit more difficult. But yeah, it looks as though it's going to be a little bit in the end of a boring Red Bull 1-2 again, doesn't it? But Bottas has been quick. Gasly's been quick as well, but he's made a couple of mistakes, and that's sort of, I think, seen him drop down a little bit. He's down there in 10th right now. But in terms of our battle with Mercedes, which is, I think, where we need to consider our battle for the rest of the season, both cars are ahead of both Mercedes, and Mercedes, in fact, only scoring 1 point right now. So that is that's a nice place for us to be, although we have just lost a position there to Leclerc. And yeah, well, if we could have got both cars in front of both Ferraris again, maybe you could have said there was something on here. I think the problem K-Mag has had is he's damaged his underfloor. We see when we bring an underfloor upgrade how powerful it is, and I think what's perhaps just happened is that he's lost too much downforce with that damage, and that's sort of seen him off a little bit. As we do indeed get Leclerc back, and we're just outside that DRS of Bottas here with 3 laps to go. If we can get into the DRS of Bottas, then I think we'll probably be okay. But it's what, 4.5 tenths outside, and it's just not quite close enough, is it? Now, we won't get DRS up this straight, which is going to put Leclerc in a good place, unfortunately for us, with 2 laps to go. Can we go and get him back? We're going to be too far back here, aren't we? But you know what? Being the car behind on the final lap may not be a bad thing. So we'll be a little bit strategic here. We will try and harvest as much as we can. And then I think coming out of this corner here is Perez, sorry, starts the last lap. We should get a little bit of a charge into this corner. We'll go deploy, and hopefully we will get Leclerc back into one of these 2 corners. Ideally, the next one. Let's push these tyres, mate. Come on. You can do it. You can... Oh, he does it easy. Absolutely cruised past him in the end. And that should be absolutely fine. Magnussen is just a little bit further back as well. And he has Sainz behind him, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. So it's going to be basically the same result as in the last race, just it wasn't quite as ridiculous. But we're going to have Sargeant come across for P4 and Magnussen in P6. So decent enough from us. K-Mag obviously starting on the front row. You would have liked a little bit more, but it was completely self-inflicted, that one. Logan Sargeant, though, I'm going to say, moving up a position, staying ahead of Leclerc, who started behind him, and only really losing out to Verstappen. I think that's pretty good, to be honest. Drivers' Championship, Sargeant moves up 2 places to 8th. K-Mag stays where he is in 4th, and I think he's probably the 4th best driver on the grid this season, if we're being completely truthful. And in terms of the constructors, we've moved a nice ways clear of Mercedes now, and we've kept the gap. We've actually pulled in the gap a little bit to Ferrari, but I really don't think that's our race this season. If we, as I said at the top, if we beat them, fantastic. But if not, I do think just trying to stay 3rd and ahead of Mercedes is probably what we're looking to do. But if you have enjoyed that, make sure you hit thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Do we have any driver development? Doesn't look like we do. I will see you next time. I think the next race might be Hungary, the last race before the summer break, though I might be forgetting one. I think that's what it is, though. But anyway, I'll see you for that one. Hopefully this time the game will save itself. Take care.